Welcome back to BVarsity Live. Zach Ewing, Trevor Horn with you in the TBC Media Studios. And on the phone, we've got the one, the only, the great Andy Bogard from the Fresno Bee, friend of ours and the dean of prep sports reporters, not just in the Valley, but he's got to be close to in the state now, right, Andy?
Well, they're trying to retire me. I don't blame them. So that I suppose. Well, I never thought about that, but it's been a great ride. But
yeah, who's trying to retire you? Wait a second. Wait a second.
Get out of town.
Who's?
Okay. What? Because a guy named Trevor Horn. He works for the Bakersfield, California, and he's been trying to flush me ever since he's been down there. No, that's not true. love him and Zach, but I always enjoy this show, and I just got through looking through more again the 2016 preview of BVarsity, which is, I hope it cleans up on national awards because I've never seen anything quite like it.
Oh, dude, you're too kind.
Beauty, so.
Well, we'll take them. But I was trying to figure out why Trevor said he needed to go to Lowe's to buy pitchforks the other day, but I guess he's going up to Fresno to drive you out of town. Hey, Andy, tell us about Central a little bit, because that's obviously the hot team in the section right now. And, you know, Clovis is still undefeated, and I think they're still in the mix. But if you look at what Central's done the last 4 weeks, and I've actually seen them 2 of those weeks, they are playing at a level that's unmatched by anybody, I think, right now in the section, and mostly throughout the state, too.
Well, I'll just put it this way. I honestly, I can't remember now. Someone tell me, maybe some of the great Clovis West teams are back in. I can't remember a team from Fresno County going into Kern County and against obviously good competition and winning one by 38 and the other by 35. I just don't remember it, you know, on the road. And the analogy, guys, that I can best use with Central right now is it's just, see, Kyle Biggs, the first year coach there. Everyone it was quite aware that up here that he was the young superstar, you know, young coach on the rise. A son of a longtime assistant here, Bill Biggs, lifetime high school assistant. I mean, Kyle was literally drawing up plays when he was 10 years old in the house.
Wow. And
plays that could be used. So I mean, so the analogy I use, it's just the perfect marriage, much like a couple of years ago when Tony Amundsen was at Bullard in basketball, if you remember, and they won 3 section championships and were winning against section competition by 25 points a game,
right,
all 3 years. It wasn't even close. And so it was just the perfect marriage. A very, very good coach, an exceptional coach with not only talent but a depth of talent. And at Central, as we know, 4,000 students out there. 2,000 of those are male. It's just there's a lot of athletes, and the depth. Kyle has that depth, and when you put it all together, I just wasn't sure that it was going to happen this quickly, and certainly right off the bat they lose to Bullard 24-3, and I hate to discredit that Bullard win, and Kyle won't either. But if they played today, that doesn't happen. Central did have a scrimmage canceled before that, and Kyle knew they were in trouble going in. And plus, Donnie Arax, he used to assist Donnie Arax, and he knows his game, and so Bullard put it to him. But it's the perfect. It's quite a roll, and again, nothing like. And what Bakersfield did a few years ago, where they had 3 running clocks. I think against track teams in the playoffs. Liberty last year, and what they did to Clovis and Monica Stadium. But in this case, going into, like I said, I just can't remember a team from Fresno County going down there and this wasn't 7-point wins, 10-point wins, 38-35.
Yeah, resting starters and running clocks, yeah. Andy, what's their weakness? I mean, if you go forward and we just look at it on paper, it looks like Central is going to do what Bakersfield and Liberty did the last 2 of the last 3 years and just run roughshod through the rest of the section in Division I. Do they have a weakness, or have you been able to identify? I don't know if you've seen them enough to say, if this happens, then maybe they're in trouble.
Well, it would be they tend to get a few penalties, but I don't see certainly any red flag flapping over there, Zach. The game against Frontier, and I read your preview. Frontier, they have a decent team, and they were pretty excited about this year. That was are ranked like 59-17. Now, in that game, Central was out without its starting running back, its best running back, and its 2 offensive tackles, and it just didn't matter. So as far as personnel, Zach, there's so much depth, and there's so many linemen, and then you put a Jalen Johnson, in that secondary, and the sophomore quarterback Trent Tompkins. You would think it'd be a sophomore quarterback, right? But this is a guy, you saw him.
Yeah, nope, he's not a sophomore in play.
Yeah, Trent Tompkins. He's a Central District guy. That schools tend to be very transient, people moving in and out. But he's a district guy. He's been there. He went to Rio Vista Middle School, and so he's a sophomore with a lot of savvy and a lot of trust in his receivers. You saw it. He'll just chuck it down there, and they're not all spirals. So you would think that would be it, a sophomore quarterback, but he sure hasn't shown it. But I want to. You would say, I don't know. It's hard to read. I want to see how they would respond in a tie game in the third quarter. But
right.
but they're not getting there.
No, not yet. Yeah.
Not yet. So,
a tie game in the third quarter, maybe 14-0 in the first quarter because they turned the ball over on a kickoff. I mean, I'm just trying to think of scenarios where how do they respond, and you very rarely see a team go through a season without any of those. And obviously they have the one early loss, but right now it looks like nobody's going to touch them. Hey, the other team I want to ask you about, and we just had Garces and their coach AJ Gass in the studio, whom you used to cover at Fresno State, by the way. He said, so there's a connection for you. Garces goes up there to play Edison this week, and I believe you said that's the game you're going to be at. And Edison's 0-4, but this is not your typical 0-4 team either.
Well, you don't think so? I look at their schedule, and it is one of the best, not only in the section, but you look at the strength of schedule. But in the West, maybe west of the Rockies, I mean, they play Brophy Prep, which is an all-boys Catholic school from Phoenix, and they're 6-0. I think they're the second-ranked team in Arizona. DeMonte Ranch, one of the best teams in Nevada. Then they played West and North and lost by 6 points in each of those games. But they so and I have them ranked at 0-4. I think I have them 14th. Of course, we get questions about our ranking, which is good. If we didn't get questions, then I'd be worried about it.
Right.
You want people interested. But the analogy I answered a guy this week, I go, well, here's why. Here's why. Why is USC at 1-3, 10-point favorite this weekend over 4-0 Arizona State? It's because SC has played Alabama, Stanford, and Utah. It's about strength of schedule. But Edison has a lot to prove, guys. They only started 4 seniors. They're trying to find themselves. So they're looking right down the barrel of an 0-5 start against Garces. And I'll tell you this, and this is a first for me in 40 years at the B. A first. Never have I heard a legitimate fear about an opponent's speed as I'm hearing out of Edison in regard to Garces. They are legitimately concerned that those Rams are going to run right past them, which they did with Memorial and some other teams with that.
Well, man, you saw that first. You saw that firsthand at the Central Section Central Section Master Championship in track and field. I mean, they got 3 legitimate speedsters on that team with Cam Roberson, Scott Boylan, and the quarterback Connor Bruce. But I mean, they're not the only ones. It is a legitimately fast team, Andy. It was like I was talking to them before. I covered a game 2 weeks ago when they played Memorial, and there were dads up there making friendly wagers of not if they're going to score on this drive, but how many plays it's going to take them to score because they have such an explosive offense. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is, and AJ, it didn't take him long.
No,
and he knows the drill. He knows how to at a private school and how to get it going and how to push all the right buttons. This is the guy from Servite. This is big time football down there, at Servite, and so it certainly didn't take him long. And there's no indication that that's going to go away for a while. In both of those cases, there's 2 cases where Garces with AJ Gass and Central with Kyle Biggs. I mean, I honestly, going back to Central, I don't see the Clovis schools beating them. I mean, maybe occasionally the Bullards, the Edisons. I see as long as he's there, and it's just like there's nothing to suggest otherwise. As long as AJ is there at Garces, they're not going away.
Yeah, and I think it's slowly dawning on us that it's possible, and I don't know that I would say it at this point, but it's possible Garces is the best team in Kern County. I mean, I think Liberty and Bakersfield still have arguments. I think Stockdale certainly has an argument, but it's at this point you just look at what they do to teams. Now, I do want to see what they do. They play 6 consecutive Division I teams. It's kind of a slow week, but before we let you go, Andy, there's a lot of teams on byes, but give us a kind of an off-the-radar game maybe you're keeping your eye on this weekend.
Fresno Tulare Western's a good one. I mean, for D3, it's hard to get a read of Fresno. Right off the bat, they only lost Sanger by a touchdown. But what South did to Tulare Western, I was like, whoa. Unless maybe you guys know something about South, I don't know.
No, South lost to Independence by 3 touchdowns the week before, and that's Independence's only win. So if you know something, you know more than we do.
Yeah. So there's, I guess that would be the one. I'm following closely Mendota and Fireball. I mean, as far as D5, they play in a week, so I expect them to win and have a unbeaten West Side showdown. That's going to be big up there. Kind of keeping an eye on Buchanan. They shouldn't have any trouble with Porterville this week, but they brought up a freshman. There's a lot of mid-season things happening right now. The 30-day transfers are kicking in. The Memorial got a quarterback from transfer from Exeter that's going to be ready to go. But Buchanan has brought up a freshman running back named Kendall Milton, who's got a lot of big reputation up here, despite only being a freshman. And they add a little more firepower to that offense, so they could be something. Not to get a real true read off that Porterville game this week, but to go back to your question, other than Bakersfield and Ridgeview game, which obviously has a lot of intrigue down there, and then Garces and Edison, Fresno, Tulare Western. I think Redwood Golden West. There are 2 unbeaten teams in the WYL, but I don't really trust Golden West. So I think Edison Redwood will actually roll them up by about 20 points.
Okay, and in the game that we're broadcasting is Cesar Chavez and Taft, which is a couple of real good D4 teams as well. So there's sort of some sneaky good games out there. Andy, we could do it all day, but we got to take a break and let you go. We always appreciate the time, sir.
Hey, one quick thing. Did you guys by any chance read the Robert Swift story in SI?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. And
start to finish.
We actually had a story, not that in depth or that good probably, but from a Japanese reporter on Swift a couple of months ago that was in the same vein. And it's sort of one of these.
And I got buddies that actually play with him up at that Hardwood Palace up there in Rockland.
It's like it's the most dramatic kind of tragic drama you can imagine in professional basketball.
Well, it's a great read by Chris Ballard, and again, it's the September 26th issue with Lamar Jackson from Louisville on the cover. But it's a great read for anyone. But certainly, if you're from Kern County, you want to get a hold of that, and just a fabulous read. Sort of was what they read every day by a guy named Zach and by a guy named Trevor. But I would suggest that read.
And if you're in Fresno, it's a guy named Andy. Thanks
Andy,
a lot,
I'll
Andy.
be in
We'll
town
talk to you
this
soon.
weekend. I'll come say hi.
All right.
Okay, guys.
All right, we'll be back right after this on BVarsity Live with our predictions.